In this video, we're dusting off 13 forgotten birthday traditions that'll make you grateful for modern parties, and maybe a little nostalgic for simpler times. Number 1. Birthday parties in the living room. Picture this, it's the 1920s, and you've just walked into a birthday party. The living room's been transformed, furniture pushed to the walls, making space for celebration. But hold on, where are the balloons, the colorful streamers, the pizza? In those days, birthday decorations were simple affairs. A hand-painted "Happy Birthday" sign might hang on the wall, and a few flowers from the garden could brighten up the room. Games? Think musical chairs or a rousing round of charades. No fancy entertainment systems here. Typical 1920s homes had smaller, cozier living rooms that naturally brought people together. These intimate gatherings weren't just about the birthday kid. They were community events. Neighbors would pop in, sharing homemade treats and lively conversation. Number 2. Pin the tail on the donkey game. Ever wonder how a paper donkey became the unlikely star of 1920s birthday parties? This tail-pinning game wasn't just child's play. It was a phenomenon that swept the nation, leaving laughter and memories in its wake. In an era before video games, Pin the Tail on the Donkey was the ultimate crowd pleaser. Picture this: a hand-drawn donkey poster, a bunch of paper tails, and a room full of giggling kids. The game was simple, but oh so fun. Players would get blindfolded, spun around, and then try to stick the tail in just the right spot. Sounds easy, right? Not when you're dizzy and can't see a thing. Back then, many families made their own versions of the game. It was all about getting creative with what you had. But as the 1920s rolled on, you could actually buy ready-made sets in stores. Talk about fancy. Number 3. Homemade birthday cakes. Picture this. It's your birthday in 1920s America. As you walk into the kitchen, a familiar scent hits you, but it's not from a box or a bakery. What you're smelling is a tradition that's about to become extinct, replaced by convenience and mass production. Ready to rediscover a lost art of celebration? The aroma of vanilla and sugar wafts through the air as Mom pulls a golden cake from the oven. But wait, how did she whip up this masterpiece without boxed mixes or fancy gadgets? It turns out, 1920s bakers were culinary wizards with just a few simple tools. Armed with mixing bowls, wooden spoons, and hand-cranked egg beaters, these kitchen magicians created mouth-watering cakes from scratch. Popular flavors like chocolate and vanilla reigned supreme, but it was the pineapple upside-down cake that really stole the show. Imagine flipping that beauty onto a plate. Talk about a showstopper. Number 4. Birthday wishes with physical gifts. You've heard the phrase, "It's the thought that counts." But in 1920s America, this wasn't just a platitude, it was a necessity. With the echoes of war still lingering and economic uncertainty in the air, how did families manage to make birthdays special? The answer might surprise you, and it has nothing to do with how much money they spent. Picture a living room filled with excited children, eyes wide as they unwrap their presents. But these weren't the latest gadgets or store-bought toys. Instead, handmade dolls with stitched smiles and knitted sweaters emerged from simple wrapping paper. Practical gifts were the norm, reflecting the careful budgeting of many families still recovering from World War I. But don't think for a second that these presents lacked charm. Homemade treats packaged in decorative boxes showed just how much thought went into each gift. And for the lucky birthday kid, a board game or puzzle might appear, promising hours of family fun. Even popular characters like Little Orphan Annie found their way into gifts, bringing a touch of 1920s pop culture to the party. Number 5. Bobbing for apples. Imagine a group of kids huddled around a large wooden tub, water sloshing as they giggle with anticipation. It's not bath time, it's apple bobbing time. This quirky game had 1920s birthday parties in a splash. Why would anyone want to dunk their face in water for fun? Well, it turns out this soggy sport has roots stretching back to ancient Rome. By the 1920s, it was the highlight of many celebrations. Kids would take turns trying to snag floating apples with just their teeth. Sounds easy? Think again. The air would fill with laughter and shrieks as children emerged, faces dripping and hair plastered to their foreheads. Some clever party hosts even added blindfolds or different apple varieties to up the challenge. Number 6. The birthday crowning tradition. You guessed it, a crown fit for a birthday king or queen. But this wasn't just any ordinary hat. These homemade crowns held a power that modern birthday parties have all but forgotten. What made this simple paper accessory so magical? In the 1920s, birthday crowns were often crafted from everyday materials like paper, fabric, or even flowers. Families got creative, adorning these regal headpieces with ribbons, sequins, and handmade decorations. The crowning ceremony itself was a highlight of the party. Imagine the birthday child, beaming with pride as they were presented with their special crown, surrounded by cheering family and friends. But here's the kicker. This tradition wasn't just about looking fancy. Experts say that crowning a child on their birthday actually boosted their self-worth and sense of belonging. It was a public acknowledgement of their importance within the family and community. Who knew a simple paper crown could pack such an emotional punch? Number 7. Sing Happy Birthday in a formal manner. Ever wondered why your grandparents insist on singing Happy Birthday with such gusto? The answer lies in a forgotten 1920s tradition that turned this simple tune into a powerful family ritual. Get ready to discover how a song you've heard 1,000 times once held a deeper meaning. Picture this: a family gathered around a cake, voices raised in perfect harmony. But this wasn't your casual, off-key rendition. In the 1920s, singing Happy Birthday was serious business. Families approached it with the reverence of a choir performance, often accompanied by the soft glow of candles. Why so formal? Well, birthdays were a big deal back then. The song, which gained popularity in the 1920s, became a way to mark personal milestones and celebrate individuality. Some families even added their own verses, making each performance unique. Number 8. Birthday treat bags for guests. What if I told you that the real magic of 1920s birthday parties often happened after the cake was cut? As children shuffled out the door, clutching small, mysterious bags, they carried with them a piece of the celebration. But what treasures did these bags hold? And why did they become such an essential part of the birthday experience? These weren't just any old party favors. Treat bags in the 1920s were filled with delightful surprises that kept the party spirit alive long after the last guest left. Imagine finding chewy Charleston chews, colorful gumdrops, or even tiny toys nestled inside. Some lucky kids might even discover a personalized keepsake, a little reminder of the special day. The bags themselves were often as exciting as their contents. Picture vibrant colors and Art Deco patterns adorning each one, perfectly matching the party's theme. It was like taking home a miniature piece of 1920s art. Number 9. Clown entertainers. Imagine the excitement when a vibrant figure with a red nose and oversized shoes stepped through the front door of a 1920s birthday party. Clowns weren't just party entertainment, they were gateways to a world of wonder. But how did these colorful characters become the must-have entertainment of the era? In the 1920s, clowns brought the magic of the circus right into living rooms. They juggled, crafted balloon animals, and performed slapstick routines that had kids rolling with laughter. Their bright costumes and exaggerated makeup were a stark contrast to everyday life, making their arrival a true spectacle. Families often hired local entertainers or circus performers who specialized in children's events. These clowns weren't just funny. They were skilled performers who could captivate an audience of excited kids for hours. Their acts bridged the gap between traditional circus performances and the emerging world of family-friendly entertainment. Number 10. The birthday punch. Forget candles and cake. There was a time when birthdays came with a punch. No, we're not talking about fruit punch. This playful custom from the Roaring Twenties might shock modern parents, but back then it was all part of the fun. What made this odd tradition so appealing? Picture a kid on their birthday, a mix of excitement and nervousness on their face. Friends gather around, grinning as they prepare to deliver the ceremonial birthday whack. It might sound strange, but this light punch on the arm or shoulder was actually a cherished part of 1920s celebrations. Why on earth would getting hit be fun? Well, it wasn't about pain. It was all about playfulness and belonging. This little tap symbolized growing up, like a tiny rite of passage. Kids actually looked forward to it. It was a way of saying, "Welcome to your new year. You're one of us now." Number 11. Birthday parades. Imagine waking up on your birthday to find your entire neighborhood transformed into a carnival just for you. In the 1920s, this wasn't a fantasy. It was a tradition that captured the spirit of an era. But how did families pull off such elaborate celebrations without modern technology? The answer might surprise you. Picture a quiet street suddenly bursting with life. Decorated cars and handmade floats rolled down the road, filled with cheering kids in their best party clothes. Neighbors lined the sidewalks, waving and shouting birthday wishes. At the center of it all, the birthday child, beaming with pride on their very own birthday float. These parades weren't just about showing off. They were a clever way for families to strengthen community ties. In an age before Facebook invites, parade preparations brought neighbors together. Hand-delivered invitations and word-of-mouth ensured a lively turnout. It was more than a birthday. It was a block party that celebrated both the child and the community. Number 12. Blowing out candles with family. Remember when making a wish was more than just a fun birthday game? Back in the 1920s, blowing out candles was serious business. It wasn't just about extinguishing flames, it was about igniting possibilities. What made this tradition so much more meaningful than it is today? Picture a family huddled around a homemade cake, its candles casting a warm glow on eager faces. In the 1920s, this moment was the pinnacle of the birthday celebration. Each candle represented a year of life, with an extra one for good luck. As the birthday child took a deep breath, the room fell silent. Everyone focused on this magical moment. The act of blowing out candles wasn't just for show. It was believed that the smoke from the extinguished flames carried wishes to the heavens. This simple ritual brought families closer, creating a shared experience that strengthened bonds and created lasting memories. Number 13. Surprise parties. You've heard of speakeasies, but have you heard of whisper parties? That's not their real name, but it might as well have been. In the Roaring Twenties, surprise birthday bashes were planned with the secrecy of a covert operation. What made these celebrations so hush-hush? And why were they worth all the trouble? Imagine walking into your seemingly empty house after a long day, only to be greeted by a chorus of "surprise" from friends and family hidden in the shadows. But how did they pull it off without group chats or text messages? It turns out, 1920s party planners were masters of old-school stealth. Face-to-face meetings and handwritten invitations were the name of the game. Trusted friends would discreetly deliver these secret messages, making sure the birthday honoree remained blissfully unaware. The anticipation built as conspirators whispered plans and smuggled in decorations under the cover of night.